Wednesday night, and welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Eric Naleen, got Justin Wells. We got Coach Dub with us here on Wednesday night, and it is one of the best Wednesdays of the year as we get ready for the Red River Shootout. Make sure, if you're here, like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 10,000 subscribers. And of course, if you have not yet, head to InsideTexas.com, use the promo code IT1. Get yourself 2 months of access for just $1. We've had a lot of great stuff for our subscribers, whether it's inside info, some crossover with our friends over at Sooners Group with Eddie Radosevich, George Stoya, all those guys. So a lot of great things, a lot of great content over on Inside Texas. But this is one of those weeks, Justin, where it's pointing to one time and one time only, and that's Saturday at 2:30 p.m. So much excitement about it, and so much excitement just to write about it as well.
It is, always the day after that Saturday game, that Sunday morning, Sunday evening, right after church, you start to feel that venom inside you. Hate week is upon us. Well, this year we got a week head start. So I've been just in a bad mood all week for a week and a half now because I'm ready for this game. This is what we all do this for. It all builds up to Saturday, and I love the back and forth with Sooner Scoop and those guys because we get to see the fans interacting with each other, sometimes on hilarious levels, and that's what's part of the fun of this. It's not just Texas OU. It's a fist fight, and we get to cover it. And, man, like I said, I'm in that mindset. We got about a week early head start, but, man, I'm already in that mindset, just ready to just throw remotes and get rowdy.
8:02 on the East Coast, 7:02 here in the Central Time Zone where we all are at, and I'll let the chat fill in. Working man, hope you're doing okay down in Florida. It looks like. But Eric, what makes this edition of the rivalry this year in 2024, where you got the Quinn Ewers aspect, the Steve Sarkisian aspect, the SEC aspect, so much fun to talk about?
Well, Texas has to make up for last year where I felt OU was more ready to play early in the game. They got to come out and show that they're more ready, more physical, more focused, and they need to execute better. That's what I'm looking for the most. How do they start? I've got a pretty good idea how they're going to finish, but I think they really need to show up and just play how they were the first few weeks. They didn't play well versus Mississippi State 2 weeks ago. The last time we saw them, they didn't play well to start against OU the last time these two teams faced each other. Texas has a big advantage in this game: talent, experience, depth, quarterback play. I know there's the rivalry aspects that you always have to account for, and trust me, I'm a believer in that. That atmosphere is insane. The new wrinkles that coaches pull out always has to be accounted for. But when you just strip everything away, Texas is the better team.
Charlie, one of the things you wrote, and obviously we're waiting a little bit for the SEC injury report, availability report, just to see what the program puts out about Quinn Ewers and some of the other Longhorns that we're waiting on. We anticipate him playing. We've been reading that over on Inside Texas. But Coach, you wrote about what it's like inside a football program during rivalry week. And one of the cool things I thought in your article was, you were at UNLV. You don't say Nevada, you say Reno. And it's that type of thing that makes rivalry so special. And it's one of those things that coaches use to emphasize just how important these things are to the players. Mute. Oh, the mute button got him.
He's got them kids working up a storm behind him, I bet.
He's off the mute now.
I always forget the mute.
Oh, no. Hold on. You're going to have to check the settings on that one.
Check your settings. Fix out. Oh, my Lord.
And what he was saying was really important. So if you can't hear him, you need to go to Inside Texas.
Let's go to this while he's over there having technical difficulties. Patrick Despain says, I don't get the OU defensive love. They played nobody coming into Tennessee. Tennessee played nobody coming into OU. OU struggled against Auburn. Tennessee lost to Arkansas. A lot of transitive stuff going on there. But if you do watch OU versus Auburn, they didn't look great. And Peyton Thorne is not good. Now, he gave up his Christmas gift in the fourth quarter. But Auburn was up 21-10 with 9.5 minutes to go in that game. Auburn was cruising to what should have been a comfortable win. Peyton Thorne did a Peyton Thorne thing. It's not really anything that Oklahoma did, much more so than Auburn just sort of collapsed. Yeah, they got stuck on the fourth down. at the 1 yard line, like Texas last year in the fourth quarter, unfortunately. They missed 2 field goals. One of them, they had a redo on the field goal and still missed it.
Yeah.
Auburn just did not play a good game, and OU still barely won. They were down. I think that they had to score 17 in the fourth quarter, and 7 of that was gifted from Peyton Thorne. So yeah, I'm with this guy on OU's defense not being great, but it is pretty good. They just have some huge blind spots at corner. I don't care if they play 3 safeties; they should still attack them deep, pretty frequently.
When you create as many turnovers as that defense has, it looks good on paper no matter what. No matter who you're playing against, no matter what the circumstances are, they've done that. They've created a lot of turnovers, and I think that's what some of the buzz comes from. And it's also the offense is just – it doesn't have an identity. I think Hawkins is kind of developing one as we speak when it comes to that. And so I'm with Eric. A lot of that's transitive, but at the same time, Oklahoma's forced a lot of turnovers, and on paper, that makes them look better.
Tell you what I liked about Hawkins watching that game. He's wiry, man. He runs with some strength. He's not a big power guy, but he'll run through some arm tackles if you don't bring it 100%. He's a lot stronger than he looks.
He's competitive. And remember, he's got a dad that played in the NFL, and he's got a little brother that's corner that's committed to Oklahoma as well. There's some family genes there that are pretty good when it comes to playing the sport of football. And so that's why my score was a little bit closer than the rest of y'all's last night. If y'all didn't catch that on the live show, because I just, one, it's the rivalry, but 2, don't underestimate what they might dial up with this guy. Now, if Texas is up 17 in the fourth, Eric, there's not going to be a comeback. There will not be a comeback.
No.
That's when TK will cook.
Caleb Williams is not walking through that door. Here's a good one. Henry Gatlin, one of the Gatlin brothers. What's up, fellas? Quick question. Can Quinn still win the Heisman in y'all's eyes? Hook 'em. OU sucks. 40-acre addicts out. Yeah, absolutely can still win it because there's no clear favorite. I mean, I guess you could say Ward. I was hoping that Cal would have got that win just to hurt Cam Ward's chances of winning the Heisman. Yeah, there's no clear favorite right now. And he's got 2 weeks to really make himself announced on a national stage. Texas hasn't played. You got a different take on that?
I think if Colorado goes 6-6 and Travis Hunter keeps doing what he's doing, it's worthy of being a Heisman.
He'll be in New York if he does that. Yes.
Like he's
just like Ashton Jenny is going to be in New York.
Hey, I'm fine with both those guys because now we're actually starting to talk about the best player in college football winning it rather than one of the best quarterbacks on one of the best teams. And which I'm all about the meritocratic aspects of it. Not so much, when what was it? Who's the Notre Dame guy that won it at 2-8? Or Archie Griffin's second Heisman was a total joke at Ohio State. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Travis Hunter wins it. That's great. But, the question was asked, can he still win it? Absolutely can still win it. There's so much season left. Really, the Heisman is a joke if it's given out in December. It should not be given out until after the national championship game because you have a whole season within itself that happens in January in which the best player in college football can definitely avail himself over the 2 or 3 games that are in the playoffs, 4 games, whatever it is.
Coach, do we have you?
Quinn's got 2 opportunities.
Yeah. You hear me?
He's got OU and he's got Alabama. But I think we need to hear from Coach.
Hey, yeah, man, let's talk about this rivalry and what rivalry week is like. It's very intense, man. Look, at UNLV last year, we had coaches up there crying, talking about the rivalry and what it meant. And you're getting kids fired up, right? Because some of the coaches were from the island. We played Hawaii, and a bunch of people from Hawaii moved to Vegas, and now they claim Vegas is home. But this Texas-Oklahoma rivalry, man, it's deep. It's deep. It's hatred on both sides, man. When you cross the Red River, you better be careful wearing your burnt orange. But rivalry week is so intense. You got players like Michael Huffman who can get up and talk about his experience playing against Oklahoma. And the passion, it's true. It's real feeling, right? And those players can feel that. And the young guys, lean on the older guys, learning what it's like to run through the tunnel, what it's going to be like going through the fair. Joe, I met you walking through the fair one day getting ready for before pregame, and they were, man, the stuff they were saying to the Oklahoma bus and the fans, it's crazy, right? They're rocking the bus, they're doing everything. So it's the entire week is just, you're just so dialed in, you're so focused. You gain so much, I want to say, hatred and animosity for the opponent, man. You can't wait to get out there and suit up and just see those guys at midfield, right? And show, hey, I'm going to be here all day long. I'm going to dominate you. I am looking forward to somebody standing midfield, kind of like what's the receiver name for OU was out there when we ran through the tunnel last year?
Farouk. I remember
wanna see one
Will
time-
Gallagher has a really good picture of that from last year.
Let's go over and drink their water bottles while warming up, like whatever it takes. Like that's what type of time we got to be on this Saturday. And so I think that's building throughout the week, right? And plus we owe them from last year. They got away with one.
Yes.
We owe you. So it's coming.
That's the sentiment in the locker room, in my opinion. That's the sentiment. Last year's loss is still pissing Sark off. He was mad about it when they made the playoff. He was still thinking about it. I think that is a lot of it this week, too.
It's one of those things where it's like you can have these great seasons. And I even wrote this, I think, today. What's that 2005 season without 45-12? You know, perfection's one thing, but what is it without that win over Oklahoma? It's a lot different. And I think even last year has some aspects of that as well. Arch Torrance is a good question. Probably a silly question. I don't think it is. Does the late kickoff give anyone an advantage?
The fans.
I like that aspect of it. I think it creates a even more intense environment because as someone who has struggled to make kickoff at 11 a.m., I'm really looking forward to making kickoff at 2:30.
I can see
it when I was a student.
Yeah, you're supposed to roll the other night, the night before into the next morning. So that to me, you know, it'll be nice to actually sleep until about 8 o'clock. Yeah, normally we're up by 6 after going to bed at 2, 3, whatever it was. So you'd have to look at the schedule and see which time these guys had played previous games. I think there is some sort of advantage to sticking with your routine. What was Texas and Ann Arbor? That was 11 o'clock Texas time. Mississippi State, that was what, 2:30, right?
Yes.
Yeah, or 3:15. Yeah.
Well, yes, whatever. They have these new time slots, but yes, so right around there. I think there's some benefit to that, but I think OU's game was around that time as well too. So I don't know. I probably not in this game, but I think there is an advantage in certain seasons when a team has played 2 or 3 games in a row at that same time slot.
I think it benefits the team that's more veteran laden because a lot of times if it's a new game for some of these freshmen, redshirt freshmen that are coming in, portal guys, they don't know how to manage the emotion and the intensity over the course of Friday night to kickoff. And I've talked to a couple of them before that kind of mentioned that look, that's kind of part of it. You got to really gauge your emotions. You got to know when to get up and when to kind of be chill and calm because you need to conserve every ounce of energy. I would say the advantage goes to the team that has had the most guys competing in this specific game.
Well, in that vein, who's got a true freshman quarterback that's getting ready to play? He's got a couple extra hours to think about the game.
Boom.
Yeah.
So to both those points, I just put in a Prize Picks lineup. And it is, hey, you never know when it's coming. Isaiah Bond.
That's a bumper right there.
Isaiah Bond, more than 61.5 receiving yards, along with Michael Hawkins, less than 171.5 passing yards.
Passing yard. Oh, man. Wow.
So if you want to, hey, I've got some pretty good lineups going in Daily Fantasy Made Easy. It is 100% legal within the state of Texas. So I know most of our viewers are within Texas. If you're on the fence about it, 100% legal. And also, if you play $5, use the promo code Inside Texas, you will get $50 instantly. I've gone through all my different lineups over the course of the year. It is a lot of fun. It's got me looking at a lot of different numbers and things like that I haven't even thought of. There are some more or less for Travis Hunter, things like that, who we just talked about. So they've already got some daily fantasy squares for the Texas-Oklahoma game. So go ahead and check it out. Play $5, get $5 instantly using the promo code Inside Texas. Again, it is daily fantasy made easy, quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. This is what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy app. And if you're like me and want things simple, you can go through Apple Play for quick deposit. So Inside Texas, $5 will get you $50 instantly. Let's go through some questions. I like this one. Do y'all think Sark will use a similar game plan as he did early and often against Michigan with the quick passes to the perimeter to tire out the defensive linemen? Progression passing has been a strength. I don't see why. Is that something you continue to do against Oklahoma, Eric?
Well, yeah, it's going to kind of depend on what looks you get. Brent Venables is going to probably try to get them out of their comfort zone early, which would be the mid-range passing game, RPOs, and stuff like that. If Texas comes out on fire on that, you're going to have to question Venables' game plan. He usually has pretty good defensive game plans. But yeah, you'll take it there if they get it. Perimeter passing is always a good idea with when you have really fast skill talent like Texas has. So I can definitely see some wide receiver screens. I think they're going to test those corners early. Those corners are not very good. Texas has a supreme talent and speed advantage outside. I think you might see some deeper shots earlier in the game than we saw versus Michigan. At least did they? How many deep? My memory is always hazy, especially when I attend these games. They didn't have a lot of deep shots versus Michigan, right? It was pretty much all mid range.
They have one that I remember.
Yeah,
just the Isaiah Baldwin is my big
one.
Right. Yeah, it was pretty infrequent. So I think they're going to throw deeper this game than we saw versus Michigan.
So we do. I'll butt in real quick. We do have the SEC availability report for this game. Of course, C.J. Baxter, Christian Clark are out. Velton Gardner also listed as out. Oh, Michael Kern, but Colin Page questionable. Michael Kern questionable. Tate Haver questionable. Derek Williams probable. And Quinn Ewers also probable. Justin, it's looking like number 3 will make his return for this game.
It certainly does. And if you've been a consistent reader of InsideTexas.com, you already know that. My man Easy has already let you know that's been the case. Quinn was actually pretty dinged up those first few weeks, but these last 2 weeks has given him a chance to not only get healthy, but to get fine-tuned, to get ready. And look, we know what Quinn Ewers looks like coming off injury. 2002 Red River Shootout was probably the best example of that. He's going to come out ready to rock. You got to remember, Quinn was a diehard Horns fan as a kid. So in his house, beating Oklahoma and A&M was basically everything every fall. And so I think that means stuff to some of these guys. I really do think when Michael Taft talks about I would die for these guys, I think that means something to them, the ones that grew up in this. So Williams and Ewers being back is big. I have to tell you, Michael Kern, questionable. That one was a little surprising right there. A freshman punter, but I don't question Jeff Banks. There's a good chance they may not punt anyway, if it's a good day. But yeah,
they only had one punt last year. Of course, they had 3 turnovers, but they had only one punt last year. Remember, they had that long stretch of like 19 possessions and only one punt. But that was, So we might not see much of them, but hopefully it's not due to turnovers.
You look at this initially and go, "Damn, the running back room," but Baxter and Clark are out for the season. That's known. Gardner was kind of a bullpen guy, jack of all trades. And then obviously Colin Page, we know how important he is, not on the field, just on the field, but also to the fans. Colin Page has got a nice little fan club. But speaking of running backs, Eric, I've got Jaden Blue as the starter on Saturday. What about you?
Yeah, last I heard he was ones with he ran with the ones last week. And we'll make our final checks for the inside the program with me and Justin Friday mornings. We'll make our final checks, but I bet he starts. But Trey Wisner is going to see the field a lot. Jared Gibson is going to see the field a lot. Those guys. Can we get another bye week soon so that we can keep the running backs healthy? I guess November 2nd is the next one. Those guys are going to be important. They're going to have to share the load, and when you only have really 3 main guys, you're going to want to disperse and divide the labor.
Charlie, with last year's red zone woes, Texas was not good in the red zone last year against Oklahoma. Right. Was not no bueno.
Yeah.
Is Jarrett Gibson the answer to that? Because I think we know the answer. But what do you do? What do you emphasize this week? Because that was the difference in winning by 15 and losing by 6.
Yeah, but you look at it this year, Texas has been so efficient in the red zone, man. They've been able to score multiple ways. Like, they can throw in the red zone now. Most people get afraid. They get down there towards the red zone. They don't want to throw because there's not much space. But Sark does a great job of creating space with the RPO game and running game. So you can put Jared Gibson in. He looked good versus Michigan. I believe in Trey Wisner. Man, he's running tough. He's running hard. And I believe in Jaden Blue. So you can mix and match, right? Especially if you're having success running the ball in the open field between the 20. Like, the RPO will be there, right? You like to take away the middle of the field. So you still have your options outside to throw the ball and get one-on-one with, which I believe have the better match. We have the better matchups anyway. So there's so much you can do, but you can run Gibson, you can run Wilder, you can run Jaden Blue. Honestly, it just really depends on what Sark wants to do. It's like pick your poison, man, right now, because everything is open, everything is working. And I don't think that changes come this Saturday.
I just wrote about the red zone a couple hours ago. They've got 24 red zone touchdowns and 27 red zone trips. That is phenomenal. They had 31 red zone touchdowns in 14 games last year. Through 5 games, they've got 24 touchdowns. I'm no mathematician, but that sounds pretty good. 11 rushing touchdowns. Last year that was a little bit of a trouble, unless it was Jonathan Brooks when he got hot. So right now, they're running the regular offense, and the regular offense is good no matter where they are on the field. And so if they're on 5, it's good. If they're scoring from outside the 20 as well. So they've got one of the best red zone offenses in the country, especially when you don't. Some of these teams are perfect, but they might have 70% of them are touchdowns and they have a lot of field goals. Kansas is 1-5. They're 100% on red zone trips. Too many field goals. Texas right now is scoring touchdowns when they get inside the red zone.
Real quick, I'm still writing this up, but I scrolled down to the Oklahoma side of the availability report. Jaleel Farouk, Nick Anderson, Andrell Anthony, all out, and Deion Burks questionable. Like, that is that's like basically the frontline wide receiver core for the Sooners.
They're in the same boat as Texas is from wide receiver standpoint, where Texas is at running backs, except Texas had more depth at running back. They have a little bit more depth, where at wide receiver, this isn't Lincoln Riley's Sooners. They don't have the volume depth at receiver like they did in the last few years, or even the talent. They've got some guys, but there aren't those type of guys. And Deion Burks being questionable, I think I read today where they had talked about that, he's going to be a game time decision. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play, because if he doesn't play, you have really handicapped a true freshman's first start in the Red River Shootout. And I think we talked about this a couple of days ago on our live or on the YouTube show. That's how often do we see that? How often do we see a freshman quarterback taking those snaps in this game? It's very, very rare. So they're missing some dudes. They're missing a pretty important offensive lineman. They're missing 2 DBs. I know about Gentry Williams. I'm not very familiar with Kendall Dolby. And then tight end Cade McIntyre is also questionable. But, yeah, they're taking it on the chin. Farouk is their guy at receiver. Nick Anderson can be a guy. He just does it in spurts. With both of those dudes out, if I'm Hawkins, I'm saying some Hail Marys before that kickoff.
But not throwing them.
Well, Eric, you got some questions you want to run us through? There we go.
Yeah. Of course, Henry Gatlin. I mean, the second CJ Baxter got hurt and Christian Clark, that was like the first thing I wrote. They got to go to the portal. They will go to the portal. They will probably get a stud. We have heard one name floating around, not saying for Texas, but just a kid in general we've heard about is not happy at his current school.
Yeah.
He's very talented. We're not going to
give
him a name. There's still plenty of time for that guy to get happy. Plenty of season left for we always say that about Texas players in the past. Last October there was there was talk about a guy leaving that ended up staying. A lot of things can change with so much season, but regardless, they are going to get a portal running back. They absolutely have to. They can't go into next season with so many question marks, because the timing of Christian Clark and CJ Baxter's injury will time up right with August camp, and they won't truly know what they have there, how healthy those guys if they return to form. So you can't go in with a question mark at running back. You have Jarrett Gibson, maybe Jane Blue. It's looking like he'll be back at least. It's not like having an NFL year, and Trey Wisner are knowns, but you need a little bit more. They probably want a little bit more size in that room.
Joe, you want to hit our boy Williams David? I mean, tackle this D-line recruiting. I can let Coach pivot on this one.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
He's just right above the Michael Kern talk. David Williams is going to bring in and talk about the line.
There we go.
And the offensive line.
Coach, what is your individual percentage chance Texas gets Kevin Wynn, Walter Mathis, Joseph Mbacho to decommit and flip?
Man, you don't want my individual percentage, man. It might be a little skewed here because I want everybody. But I had to go. Let me see. I think just because we got the same last name, I'm going to appease you here and make you very, very happy today. Kevin Wynn, I'm going to go 50%. With Walter Mathis, I'm going 50.
What?
Joseph, I don't want to. Look.
I'm crazy, dude.
It's all right. Keep bringing. And what about Mbachu?
Mbachu. You know what? Just because I love this kid, I love his size, and
I do too.
I do too. But I think he's kind of with his recruitment, everything's still new to him. I think Texas is going to do a really, really good job of maybe closing this kid. I think he's going to like what he sees this week and next week. We're going to go about you. Let's go 65%. That make you happy, Mr. Williams? Hey, I'm all about you, baby.
Oh, man. You out here selling, dude. He is selling.
I love it. I love it.
We're going to have to include him on the next percentages on IT when we write it up. I was actually thinking about doing that soon. But
hey, Kevin Wynn is gettable. But Texas is also battling Clemson.
Yeah, 40%. I'd put him at 40, which, 50 is not too far, but Clemson has the lead, right?
Right. Clemson has the lead. Baker saw him on Friday. Texas has a little bit of confidence there. They're going to get him in next week. Walter Mathis, I'm not doing a percentage on him until he gets on campus. Now, Texas is having productive conversations with him on a weekly basis. And he's a newly LSU commit, I think a month and a half ago. But until he's on campus, I'm not going to really foster that one. Joseph Mbachu is the guy I think they can flip. That's the guy that committed to Florida probably a little too soon, started getting a lot of that late senior eval love. Unbelievable, just floor and ceiling for this guy. This is the moldable clay that PK and those guys dream about. And so I'm going to go 60% on Joseph Mbachu. If Georgia doesn't snake this kid,
that's a huge if. Wow, so 65% if Georgia gives them to us. No, that's not how the percentage works. I would say I don't know. I worry about Georgia.
I worry about Georgia too, but that's the one of all the three. I think Texas is the most likely.
All right. Well, you're only giving Georgia 35% chance then, at most.
That's it. That's it.
All right. I'll take it. Hey, I love the difference.
They just got rid of the D-line commitment in Stephon Shivers. They just got rid of one. I don't know what their D-line recruiting board looks like.
Well, I mean, they probably got rid of him because they didn't like him. I mean, so maybe they got rid of him to make room for Mbachu.
I'm not saying that. That's
I love how all three of these guys are so different. Kevin Wynn is a Zamboni out there that moves in all different directions. Walter Mathis is just like Brandon Brown, who they had committed at one point.
They're like twins.
And then Mbachu is man, he's drawn up in a lab.
He's a young Joseph Asai.
Except supersized. He's huge. Yeah, I mean he's
supersize me.
Yeah, he's awesome. Can I trust you, Coach Williams? Let me see.
That one made me laugh.
David Williams had a site he could trust, and it's just so happens Charlie Williams works at that site. Let's see here. One day. What are you talking about? Juan Davis paid his dues, stuck it out. Yeah, well, that's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to leave when it gets hard.
That's life.
Yeah, you keep working. They kept him around. Every transfer portal window, I was like, interesting. They're only keeping them around because they see a bright future for them. There's so many guys that they, massaged out of the program that ended up in lesser schools, and they always kept one around. They always wanted one. First of all, he's popular in the locker room, even though he's a quiet guy. Everybody roots for one. But really good athleticism, and I think what they like the most about him is he'll mix it up. He'll trade paint, and I think that's kept him around as much as anything else.
Part of me thinks that was a weird oversight, weird process by Texas compliance, because I remember I was at a family friend's house and I saw the notification, he's in and he's out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All I heard, because I checked on that immediately. Why would you keep him around that long and then all of a sudden he leaves right when he's about to get playing time? And all I heard was it was miscommunication. So who knows what really happened. But
I think that's why you have to be careful with portal recruiting, right? Because it can tilt. Remember Cecil Cherry? I'll never forget that one. The guy comes in and tells a few teammates that he wasn't happy or something wasn't right. One of those goes and tells somebody in the media. Then they run it that Cecil Cherry wants to transfer. Well, he didn't want to transfer. He came off a bad practice. But all the fans had caved in on him, thinking, "Oh, you want to quit? You want out?" At that point, he's like, "I got to bail."
That's why that's why we don't really report on that stuff, and why you have to be really sure if they're just in a bad mood. I mean, these are a bunch of emotional guys. They'll say some dumb things, or emotional things that not even dumb. They just mean it in time. But we've all like that. That's how everybody says stuff they don't mean.
And like we've learned, like it could be a procedural error, because I remember one year they put the wrong Australian punter in the portal. They had Isaac Pearson and Ryan Buchevsky. And they put the wrong one in the portal.
You wonder how that came about.
Somebody told me about that and threw it out there. He's like, "No, I'm not in the portal." I'm like, it was there.
24/7 put the wrong guy in the portal too.
Wrong Cam Williams.
Yeah, the wrong Cam Williams. Yeah, it's just a simple mistake. It happens. Yeah, it's just hygiene.
I remember when they had Cam Williams at 475 pounds on the initial media guide that we got at the Big 12 Media Days his freshman year. And I looked over at Bianco, and I was like, guys, this ain't right. I know he's big. He ain't this damn big.
Sheesh. The Lando Show.
For the
brand. Appreciate you, Lando.
Yeah.
Got a lot of entertaining football to talk about in your world. And speaking of Cam Williams, Charlie, over under Cam Williams and DJ getting in 3 fights. Why would anyone try to fight those dudes is beyond me. But at the same point, we've heard Sart talk about how don't get in fights. You got to be able to keep everything together. How important is that in a rivalry game?
Very important. You want to check your emotions as much because you don't want to do anything to cost your team. But I'm still going with the over on this because these guys like to mix it up, man. It is what it is. But we need that. Every team needs those guys on the team. Who's going to get off the bus and start a fight? I'm going to beat you on the field. And if you want to take it off the field, we can do that too. Like, we need those type of guys. I don't mind it. As long as it doesn't cost your team, you're driving down the field, you get a dumb penalty or something like that for swinging on a guy. And now you cost yourself 15 yards or possibly getting thrown out the game. But they're going to come close to teetering that line. I'll tell you that. So I'm still going with the over on this because especially when you got to get beat OU down and then they're getting mad, kind of like what Michigan did, take a cheap shot. You got to protect your quarterback, right? So when it comes to that, but I'm still going with the over on this.
DJ probably get one before the
happens
game.
On Quinn in this game, buddy, that's going to be must-watch television.
Yeah.
Oh, see, this is why it's tough to what do you mean by best game? There's all it takes is one reception for one of these guys to have the best play of the game or accumulate the most yards. I mean, one 90-yard touchdown, which Ryan Wingo is perfectly capable of, might mean that he has the most yards in the entire game of all the receivers just because they get dispersed across the board. Now, in my article today, I picked 5 Longhorns that I thought were key to the games. I picked DeAndre Moore, and the reason being is that I think OU is going to be focused heavily on the outside. Those cornerbacks are going to need safety help a lot, and now all of a sudden you've got a vertical threat at slot receiver, which we didn't necessarily see with Whittington, or at least they didn't utilize them that way, and we're starting to see that with DeAndre Moore now. So I think the outside receivers are going to command a lot of attention, and I think Moore is going to sneak around and get deep. And I think Texas, like I said earlier in the show, I think Texas is going to attack deep quite a bit just because the corners are suspect and the safeties are going to have a lot on their plate.
I love how DeAndre Moore is turning into a leader in that wide receiver room. That is a fact. And this guy has had some major targets in the last 2 games. Big fan of DeAndre Moore, just like Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning are.
Yeah, we talked about him in the spring. We mentioned he's the one most likely emerging as a leader. He also blocks a lot. So, the natural comparison to Jordan Whittington is there. DeAndre Moore, I think he's going to end up being a fan favorite, but he's also going to be an NFL draft GM scout favorite too because he's got a lot of speed in the slot and he can play outside as well. And that that basket catch he made the other day was not, or 2 weeks ago, that's not an easy play at full speed. No. He made it look natural.
The other thing about Moore is that there's a lot of questions at nickel or star, whatever they want to call it.
Yes.
I think.
Right, yeah.
With Oklahoma. And unfortunately, what's his face got injured. That was a rough injury.
What's his face? What's his face? Oh,
my condolences to
sounds like you really care.
You know what I mean? It's football. You got it's football. It's a physical game. And that's a big spot that Texas can really attack. I know Bowen, I know Bowman, I know those safeties are quality, but those corners are a little suspect.
I mentioned that in the article too. They might have to rob Peter to pay Paul to cover the slot, and that makes it easy for everybody else too. So
Gunnar Helm,
yes,
Gunnar in this game.
My God,
I did not mention Gunnar. He probably would have been number 6 just because I do think they're going to end up creating a lot of room underneath eventually in the game. Here's a good one right here. We got some info on that. Aaron Butler's had a lot of good practices lately. He's playing scout team. He's getting better and better. Here, good things about Parker Livingstone. Parker bounces back and forth between scout and the regular squad. Both those guys need a little bit more time. But Parker's speed checks out. He's got body control, good hands, big catch radius. Butler's really come on in the last couple of weeks. And I would guarantee, we'll talk about it a little bit later, maybe after the game, I guarantee he's having a very busy week at practice right now.
We'll keep on going in just a second. Before we do, got to give some love to someone who will never rob Peter to pay Paul, and that is Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
Thank you to LC. Was there another question y'all saw? Because I see a good one. I have a few queued up.
Yeah, you got Wayne Watson started.
Wayne Watson's got a really good one. Well,
offensive
I
line
was
is
the other one.
Oh, well, he always brings it.
He does. Wayne's a dude. I like him.
I'll get to the other one in a second. Offensive line is probably best in the best in the country in pass blocking. Not so much with run blocking. That needs to change. And, kind of along those lines, do we see a significant increase in blitzes? Oh, no, that's asking about the other side of the ball. So offensive line probably best in the country pass blocking, not so much with run blocking. Charlie, that's kind of been my biggest concern for Texas entering this game. Can they get the have it yards on the ground?
Yeah, what's funny about that? In the open field between the 20 and 20, it doesn't seem as like they're as aggressive. But they get in the red zone, they can run the ball. They actually punish people and move people off the ball in the red zone. So it's so weird, the transition of the mental of the offensive line, how they operate in open field versus red zone. But yeah, they are one of the best pass blocking teams in the country. I think they'll get more consistent in the run game as it goes, right? But I'm not really so much concerned about it because with all the quick passing game, with the quick screen game, man, that makes up for the run, right? We may not have as many explosive runs as we had in the past, but we're still averaging over 140 yards a game, right? So that's still very, very good. But we make up for it in the pass game, the short passing game. So
how much is that, Charlie? How much of that is, when you have good pass blocking, you can see the result in the completion, especially with these quarterbacks. But you can have good run blocking and not necessarily see the result if the running back misses the lane. So some of this could be attributed to running backs as opposed to just the offensive line missing their blocks. And I think the offensive line is probably taking on a little bit more water than it should when it comes to, who's doing their job and who isn't. The running backs are not maximizing a lot of these runs.
And I think a lot of it has to do with you've been used to seeing Bijan Robinson and Rashawn Johnson and Jonathan Brooks. Now we're seeing it in the aggregate, and that's a little different. Yeah,
odd future. He's saying exactly what I'm saying. Or I'm saying what he's saying. We're saying it at the same time. I agree. I think that and they're definitely better in gap schemes. So I think that makes sense with these guys on the move as well. It's also Hayden Connor's a lot better pulling than he is blocking straight ahead. But we'll see how it looks. A couple big runs this week, and all of a sudden everybody said the run blocking's better, but maybe the running backs just got better.
This one from Woodcrest. Safe to say they stole our signals on Quinn's first pick last year. I don't think
they just knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I think it was just a bad play by Quinn. And then from that point on, aside from Bowman making a play himself, he was on
that would mean that they just stole one play call the entire game. That would they probably steal a lot more than that.
Venables is going to have some of these plays identified. If there's one thing you can guarantee Oklahoma's going to know on defense on Saturday, it's some of these sets they're going to have seen before and be ready for. It'll be Sark having to counter that.
Every program spends a lot of money breaking down tendencies, and Texas will have theirs as well. So that'll be fun. Let's get back to that blitzing question. Wayne Watson had another good one.
Because I think we're going to see a little bit more on Saturday.
Do we see a significant increase in blitzes, or will we wait to see how their offensive line holds up against the Longhorn edges? I feel like this could be. I'm very, very interested in seeing how PK handles this, especially with a freshman quarterback who's not a big passer. Justin, where do you fall on this one?
Yeah, I think we're going to see that. I think I think they went so conservative against Mississippi State that they didn't want to show any inclination of what they might do against Oklahoma and or Georgia in the following week. There's some stuff they're saving. And we've got a really good friend, good buddy on the board, Toadvine, who absolutely goes crazy when PK goes in that bend don't break mode. But I don't think we're going to see as much of that today. I think that was more just Sark being conservative against Mississippi State. Get the win, get the 2 weeks off, get prepared for the real stretch that they're going to have in the SEC. I don't know if it's going to be significant, but you're going to see an increase because it's a freshman quarterback and that offensive line is no bueno.
I think I'll take the other side of that. Because the offensive line is no bueno, I'm not sure I want to vacate space for an easy dump-off pass for the
maybe the four guys can get 3 or 4 up front can get pressure.
And I also think the corners are outclassing the wide receivers too, which is going to buy the edges a little bit more time. So I'm not sure we see it. In theory, it makes a lot of sense to go blitz the true freshman and just rattle his cage. I think they're going to be able to rattle his cage with disguising in the secondary quite a bit. I'm not sure, but as a blitzer, like say you bring Anthony Hill, I don't want to vacate an easy dump-off throw that can actually, maybe break for a big play. So I'm not sure. And as Quentin points out here, Quentin's been bringing it lately. Texas is last in the country in blitz rate, which is something that Gabe Eichert pointed out. He said Texas has blitzed less than any team he's ever broken down film of. I think they're going to keep it that way until maybe Mr. Carson Beck comes to town.
Do you know one of my favorite Nick Saban quotes is, and what I think is very applicable this week? Cover one is the best coverage in ball.
Yeah.
And I think that is a pretty safe strategy to use when you have guys like Makuba, you have guys like Taft, you have Derek Williams, who appears to be healthy enough to play and succeed. I feel like that's the best. It's called the best coverage in ball for a reason, and I think it may be a good.
Texas's corners are much better than their wide receivers, and then that you can do a lot when you have that advantage.
Yeah, and I don't think they had the receivers or the scheme to where they can stack and run a bunch of pick routes because the quarterback still is not going to make the right decision to do it. So you can run cover one all day.
Yeah.
Speaking of their receivers, are David Keith Williams. We've got Matt Rule in the chat.
I knew this was
about speed.
I knew this was coming.
And Brennan Thompson have official 100-meter times in the 10.2s, faster than any official 100-meter time for Longhorns. How good are those two at receiver at this point in their career?
They're not. They're not good. Listen, if we're at a track meet, you got a point. You got a valid point. If we're in the 100, the 200, 4x1, David Williams, we're on the same page. On the football field, it doesn't translate right now. Now, Pettaway could have a breakout game. We don't know. He could. He could have a breakout game. He has not done that yet. Brennan Thompson's not having a breakout game. Those guys are track stars that had happened to play football in college. Whereas on Texas side, those were more wide receiver driven football focused kids.
Yeah, you hit it. Bond ran 10.5 as a sophomore. Yeah. So maybe he is.
Wingo ran 21 miles an hour against Michigan.
Yeah, Wingo ran 10.5 at 205 pounds. Ryan Niblett 10.4.
Oh my God. Nicholas in the coverage. That is great.
Yeah, we got. I mean, there's not going to be anything about. There's not going to be a speed deficit on the field. Fastest playmaker on the field, I would probably give that to Isaiah Bond. But there's competition. We haven't really seen Silas Bolden open it up yet. He's desperately trying to on that punt return.
You gotta post that, Joe.
But I think Bond is probably the fastest playmaker for Texas.
I think Bond
has a great one there.
Bond has the best football speed. That's for sure. I wanted to get onto this one. Drew, he's doing some family stuff. Wish we had him tonight, but completely understand. I'm going to write about this week. Jake Majors didn't get to play last year. Yeah. I know he's ready to fight. And Charlie, aside from the motivational aspect, like a guy who has only one win against Oklahoma, I'm sure he saw those red zone failures and Connor Robertson giving it his all, but also playing the way he did and thought, man, I wish I had this opportunity.
Yeah, Jake wants to go out on a good note, and I think he will. I mean, you never want to miss a game. You don't want to miss this game if you miss any, right? This is your rivalry. This is your most hated rival. So, and I wouldn't say, it was due to kind of Robinson over the red zone failures. I think maybe OU was just ready. He knew it was coming too. But, I mean.
It blew us made a play.
Yeah, it made a play. But I think Jake wants this one, right? You always want to finish out strong on top of your, versus your opponent, right? And so somebody's going to say something about if I said on top. So I'll fix that one. But, I think Jake is going to go ready to fight. He wants to prove. He's heard enough of the chatter, behind the scenes or people on social media talking. Go prove it, Jake. It's time. Let's go get it.
It is his 12th game, so you got to think Baker's dozen. Got to go out on a dub.
He is like one of the last guys who Steve Sarkisian can make the he's old joke.
I wonder if he's going to break the record for games played at Texas.
Yeah, he's on pace.
Lewis had it.
No, I'm pretty sure he's on pace to do it. Oh man, hey, this guy's after my heart. Of course he's going to eat.
Broughton has been the best defensive lineman, in my opinion, up to this point.
Had a lot of people questioning me on this here YouTube channel about my Broughton love.
Ooh, boy.
I dug up that your
he
IT
is playing
100.
like he's married, getting ready to have a family.
What did you say?
I dug up the IT 100, and a lot of what she wrote, it holds true. It took a while to get there, but he's bouncy. He's got some maturity in his game, and he's playing like the type of prospect you thought that he would be.
A lot of times when I'm wrong, I'm just early.
Exactly. Peter Hansen, what can Texas do to prevent things like the pick 6 against Auburn, where the right read is a setup for a pick? Hey, sometimes you move the chess pieces, but sometimes the guys who are putting everybody in position, they make the right call. And it's not always on the players, and it's not always on the offense. Coach, you've probably seen this a ton. Sometimes the defensive coordinator just makes a better call or the right call in that situation compared to the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, look, that was late in the game, too. I'm sure Auburn had ran the RPO glance a couple times throughout that game. They kind of knew what was coming. Showed cover 0. Linebacker got in the passing lanes. Give him some credit, just being from East Texas, man. He's just a good athlete, right?
And Lewis making a play.
That's for you, Justin. But yeah, I've seen it a few times. He actually stumbled, but he still got in the passing lane and was able to pick it off. So yeah, you see it a few times. You start to know what's coming, right? Because most times teams have so many plays that go into with a script to go into a game, and with Auburn, they're still trying to figure out their quarterback situation and offense in totality anyway. So of course they're going to repeat a bunch of plays, and they knew what was coming. And it's called the right play, and he made a play on it.
They also have Peyton Thorne at quarterback, which, as we saw from, what'd you call it, Eric? Like the customary gift, and then he also had one of the worst zone read plays I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, that guy's just mess.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze made that decision. So
let's see what Deuce Knott does when he gets thrown under the bus the first time that he starts, because he's going to start next year.
Did he flip? I missed that.
Yeah. It happened, I think, last week.
Oh, yeah, it did. Poor Notre Dame.
The KJ Lacey stuff, good.
I'm glad on that front. Chris Bennett, let's get some prop bets going. Who scores the first touchdown?
Gunnar Helm.
All right. I like that one.
I'm going Matthew Golden because what if you return the opening kick? And a wide receiver. I'm trying to double dip here, man. Increase my odds.
I'm going Anthony Hill, pick 6.
Oh.
Okay. There we go. I'll have some fun with that one.
Is he going to do the ravishing Rick Rude dance after? Because that's not SpongeBob, Anthony. You're not fooling nobody.
He better not do the DeAndre Moore one that had us all skipping a beat.
His ankle.
He pulled that off so good too.
He's one of the most fun interviews that we've had. Yeah. Like he does the right mix of like team type thing, but also showing his personality. And that's a lot of fun. I'm gonna say Jarrett Gibson. I think they put some
drive, huh?
I think they drive it down the field, give him an opportunity. It's going to be a gap run. That's kind of what we know what he can do.
He's true north. He's true north, my guys. He does not. You give that guy a campus, and it only goes one direction.
A what?
A compass.
Oh, I thought you said campus.
I was curious about that one as well. Well, we got the
campus.
I like this. These are fun. The chat's having fun. Odd Future LaFowl scoop and score after a block punt from Vosick. I'm a fan of that one. Would be back-to-back years. And then Justin, you had some good insight on the Vosick recruitment from a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, man. That's one of the fun things about this rivalry is actual recruits being at the games. And the last few times that Oklahoma has been the home team and hosted the recruits, they have not done well. Texas does really well wearing whites in this game recently. I think the last 4 wins they've had in the last 11 are all wearing the icy whites. And so with Vosick, he didn't look right committed to Oklahoma in the first place. Venables was awkward with him. It was a matter of time. But remember, Joe, he's just there to take in the game. He's just there to watch the game. He's not flipping. God forbid a Longhorn legacy flip to Texas. Yeah.
I think your best recruiting story is the 49-0 season where you had recruit reactions up before the end of the game.
Micah Hudson.
I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, I think you had a number of them. You had people.
I did, yeah.
The recruit reaction when the game wasn't over yet.
It was too good not to. It's 28-0 in the second quarter, and I'm like, why don't I start knocking some of these out?
Yeah.
And then Micah Hudson gave us absolute gold. He's like, I got to get out of here.
Oh, man. Charlie, you brought it up in the chat, but I posted this on Inside Texas today. That Chris Whaley play is –
I love it.
It will always – in Will Gallagher, I got to pull this up because it is –
He's got a great picture of it. Those are the years they had the gold trim.
Yeah, that was it.
And Eric's got one of those long tees with the gold thing. I'm like, oh, my God, those shirts. Did you know Chris Whaley's the D-line coach at Atlanta High School here in East Texas? I met him when they played Pleasant Grove and Lance Jackson. He is still large.
Yeah.
He's not a running
Big
back
boy.
anymore?
Yeah.
Sir?
He's not a running back?
Well, that's the dirty secret. A lot of running backs get huge, and a lot of offensive linemen get small. They don't change their eating habits. The running backs don't change their eating habits. They quit running all that and working out, and they still eat crap.
Oh, man. I think I've got the thing.
Oh, there's Roaster. I was wondering where he was.
There is Roaster indeed. I'll pull that up. Depth will be our friend in the heat on Saturday. Favorite food at the fair for everybody? Justin?
Fried beer.
Yeah, but you could just get it plain.
But then it's not fried.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I do like the fried Snickers. But I can only take 2 bites because then your stomach will absolutely hate you. Give me some fried Snickers with a cold Coors Light.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm a corn dog guy just because it's so functional and easy to eat. Don't make it any more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm real turkey leg. So there we
Turkey legs.
Yeah, I always got to get one.
Not easy to eat. Totally messy.
Not functional at all.
But hey, the best thing.
It's hard to beat a
corn to Barrett. It'd be the size of Barrett.
Yeah,
It'll be the size of
I'm not ready to take Barrett yet. I'm not ready yet.
It's getting closer though. We're getting close.
Real close.
I think my favorite thing is, and I do this every year, I think I'm going to go, I think she can hear me right now. I'm going to go dig some state fair tickets out of my wife's wallet. And right outside of that gate, like the big Cotton Bowl gate, there's a beer stand that never has any lines. And that's my first stop right after every year.
Magical beer stand.
Yeah. The underrated ones are on that opposite side. I guess it'd be the east side. Nobody goes over there, so they don't know that it's the place without very many lines. And one other thing, I think I did see. I need to make a post about this or a post on the board. So, CDC has talked a lot about how you can't leave DKR because of SEC rules. I think he tweeted today, and I emailed him about this. Never got back. I think he tweeted today, you can leave the Cotton Bowl, go find the corny dog, the fried turkey leg, the fried Snickers, the fried beer, and then come back to the stadium. So you can it's a little bit different over there.
Can't you? You just can't leave the fair.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah,
correct. I think it's a little bit different on that front. And it's
We're
also
almost there, guys.
We're almost there. This is the week of work that's never a week of work. Like, it is so much fun just to talk about this game, get to the lead up about it, and we're going to have a whole lot more over on Inside Texas. So make sure.
Real quick. Chris has got a good question. Who was the last Texas player who had the post game a turkey leg in hand? I don't remember that, but do you remember the linebacker for Oklahoma in the middle of the game that went and got a turkey leg during that blowout?
Was it Eric? Was it Sanchez?
No, I think it was Stryker, wasn't it?
It was one of the. It was 2018. That would have been Stryker because Sanchez was
I think it was Stryker. He did not like the outcome of that game. That joker just left and said, "You know what? I'm about to go get me some food."
You know who else left was Mike Stoops. But Chris, I do remember the answer to this one. It was Moro Ojimo. Like, he shows up after the shower and wearing his flip flops. He's like, "Yeah, I got a turkey leg," and does his entire post game interview with a turkey leg in hand. And
man, with his big ass hands, that had to look like a chicken wing, man. He had the biggest damn hands. He shook my hand one time. Oh man, I just dropped to my knees.
He's fun to deal with, fun to interview. spoke a lot of truth, and I think he told a lot of truth that the program needed. So we're telling truth over on Inside Texas. Make sure you go over there, use a promo code IT1, get yourself 2 months of access for just $1. And if you're here, if you're watching this video, go ahead and give us a like. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a lot of stuff. Justin, you and I will be back on here tomorrow morning.
I wonder what we're going to talk about.
This game, man.
All right.
And then tomorrow afternoon, I think we're going to be able to get George and Eddie over from Sooner Scoop over. Going to talk to those guys, our friends north of the Red River, and then we'll have pregame stuff, postgame stuff, roundtable, everything you need here on the Inside Texas channel. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for watching. Head to Inside Texas, and we'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.